Hello, everyone, and welcome back to High School Roundup. As always, I'm your host, John Sakaguchi, back here again after missing last week. Joined with me, as always, Peyton Trollinger. Peyton, great to be back here again. And a lot happened last week.
We missed you, Johnny. Gary and I, we ran the show without you, but we're glad to have you back, and I'm looking forward to a great show here today.
Yeah, I had a few car issues last week. Didn't mean to schedule them during the Roundup episode, but we got some highlights to talk about, Peyton. Let's take a look at the first set of highlights we got here. As our friends from Westmoreland Sportsnet, we had the Steelers Youth Football Game of the Week as Steely McBeam and Steelers special teamer Jordan Dangerfield were at the game. Also, it was a big weekend because we had the Alumni and Hall of Fame game for the Steelers. As we see the Elizabeth Forward Warriors taking the field. Very cool entrance there. And cool to see Steely McBeam and Dangerfield shaking hands with all the players there. And we get started at EF on their first possession and drop back a little screen pass, and looks like he's going to get wrapped up. Nope, jukes 1, 2, 3, and turns on the afterburners for pay dirt. Gives EF the lead 7-0 as they would make the point after try. Next play here, a little botched punt as EF's going to block it and fall on it with great field position right there at the 25. A couple plays later, they're right up the middle. Zion White's going to fumble it and recover it. And the Warriors will take over, and they would not be denied this time. Makes it 14-0. That'd be it for the first quarter. Little quarterback draw, all play. Hey, the ball squirts out, but not before the officials say it's touchdown time. And they would convert on the 2-point conversion. And Mount Pleasant looking for something, and it's going to be picked off by that tough defense of the Warriors again. And EF would punt it away here and setting them up. Wouldn't you know? We called his name a lot during that game against Brownsville. Zion White. And there's the handoff on the little jet sweep. From the full house backfield. He's get some blockers and jukes one more as one to beat into the end zone. And Elizabeth Forward goes up 28-0. Mount Pleasant trying to mount something, but picked off again. And White once more is setting up his offense with great field position inside the 20. And they would stall out on that drive. EF looking for something here. Mount Pleasant, looking for something. Fumble at the end of the play. Picked up by the defense, and one of the big boys. I love seeing those big guys in the middle. The linebackers. Here's a scoop and score. 35-0 your final score from Elizabeth Forward. And honestly, that was a battle for the top spot in that conference. And EF said, we're taking the reins here. They're knocking off Mount Pleasant.
That, like you said, Johnny, that was such a huge game for the 3A interstate title, and it's going to have major impact on the standings. We'll talk about the standings a little later. But, like I said, this was a huge game for Mount Pleasant, and it's really a shame that they got blanked, but you can't really blame them when you have, offensive powerhouse like Zion White and just that entire Elizabeth Forward offense and defense. We saw the multiple fumble recoveries, interceptions. They were all on it. You could tell they were the hungrier team.
Yeah, and it's another thing is we talked about that when they played Brownsville. Mm-hmm. Is that defense? They don't make too many mistakes.
No,
it's very rare that we see Elizabeth Forward making a mistake. But you got to give props to Mount Pleasant. They've played a tough season so far this year. And things are starting to shake out now. We got 2 weeks left in the regular season before we talk about playoffs. Mm-hmm. And Mount Pleasant's still in that playoff hunt yet, and EF's not out of the woods from losing that conference title. They're one loss away in a Mount Pleasant win from being the Interstate 8 champions. But we'll see how that goes. Let's take a look at the next set of highlights from our friends at South Union Township. It was senior night over at the Mustang Corral as Laurel Highlands looking to get back in the win column against McKeesport. Right now, McKeesport's tied for that top spot in the conference there. Laurel Highlands taking some tough losses to Bell Vernon and Elizabeth Thomas Jefferson. As we see here, the first drive of the game, Laurel Highlands recovering a fumble. Well, it was defense for the most part of that first quarter, but as we see here, McKeesport on the QB draw, in for 6, 7-0, and they would go out for the lead. And then we see Rodney Gallagher trying to make something happen here. Throws it, but it's picked off by the McKeesport defense, and he's going to take it and set up his offense for a good field position. And from his own 40-yard line, that'd be it for the first quarter. McKeesport looking to do something here, but another fumble stalls it out. Next drop for McKeesport, or they would not be denied this time. Stumbling, bumbling, and then fumbling into the end zone. Puts them up 13-0 as they missed the extra point try. And then right up the middle on the running back draw play, gets them about 40 yards, or it's set up in the Mustang territory, and they're going to go 2 plays later, in for 6. Would convert on the 2-point conversion here, makes it 21-0. Now, McKeesport setting up once again and looking to get some points before the end of the half, and in for the score, or the catch skips his feet and bounce. It's 28-0 your score at the half. And then here on the kick return, and Laurel Highlands setting up, gets a good block down the sideline and knocked out of bounds inside McKeesport territory. They would go stall deep inside their territory, but McKeesport answers right back. Another running back draw play in for the score, 35-0. Now Rodney Gallagher looking for something, and he's going to make it happen here. And he's going to jump in just short of the goal line, right there at the 2, who sets Laurel Highlands up deep inside the red zone. And he's going to call his own number here on the QB draw, in for 6. They'd make the point after try and put the score 35-7. But McKeesport would answer right back here, as they go right from their own 45. Takes it down inside the 10-yard line, sets up this play here 2 plays later. Quarterback dive, in for 6, and that would be your final score. McKeesport 42, Laurel Highlands 7. And Laurel Highlands struggling here as of lately.
You know, they haven't been playing a lot of easy opponents, but as the season goes on, I think teams are starting to realize the Mustangs' weak points, and it's quite evident the Tigers took advantage of it. McKeesport's always been such a good team, but they really showed it there tonight. I think if the Tigers could really just, because we saw a lot of those fumble recoveries by LH, I think if they can tighten up that turnover game, they're a serious team to watch out for. They always have been, but if they fix those turnovers, it is over for a lot of these teams. And
McKeesport actually surprised me this year, as good as they were. And I hate to say it, I was with Colin on this one, and during pick'ems, I almost took them. But when years past, we've talked about McKeesport, they've not been that tough of a team. And then out of nowhere, they were that dark horse this year. And they still have to play Bell Vernon yet, which is going to be an interesting game to see. And that's going to be for the conference title. Whoever wins that one's going to be the number 1 spot in that conference and seal their spot in the playoffs. And then whoever loses that game, and including Laurel Highlands and Thomas Jefferson, are going to have to sit and see where they fall in the playoff rankings.
It's things are starting to tighten up here. Every win is so crucial. Every loss can just set you back and even knock you out of the playoffs entirely. That's why it's must win. Every mistake can be capitalized on and taken advantage of. So these teams have to stay focused. All
right. Well, now let's take a look at the scores around on the area to see what happened elsewhere this week. So we're going to start off here with Woodland Hills traveling to Gateway. Gateway picks up a big win in 40-21. Penn Trafford traveled down 119 to go to Connellsville. And they took the victory as they went in over the Falcons 45-6. Take a look at the next set of scores.
Up next, we had a very close one here. Franklin Regional and Latrobe. Franklin Regional just barely able to get the win, 41-40. I'm sure that was a shootout over there. Next up, we had Chartiers Valley traveling to Beaver. Beaver able to pick up the win at home, 35-28. And I know we got more scores to go over.
Indeed, you're right. Avonworth at Hopewell, hosting Hopewell, and blanking that 50-0 in that one. Then we have another good one as TJA hosted the Ringgold Rams, taking away the victory 42-6. Let's take a look at the next set of scores.
And here we go. Trinity from Washington, Pennsylvania travels right here locally to Belle Vernon, Pennsylvania to take on the Leopards. Leopards easily able to get the victory over the Hillers 49-0 as they blank them on the little sandlot they got over there. Then Mars traveling to Greensburg, Salem. Greensburg able to pick up the win 42-6 quite easily. And let's take a look at some more scores here.
We have Hampton and hosted Indiana High School as they blanked the Tribe 39-0. Then South Allegheny traveled to South Park and they picked up a big victory there. They're 34-7 and trying to keep pace for that conference championship. But let's take a look at the next set of scores.
All right, then we have the Scotties. They were supposed to face the Falcons of Brownsville at home. Unfortunately, Brownsville had to forfeit that game, so the Scotties will get the 1-0 victory technically. And then this was a game I was very surprised about. Little 2A Century Conference showdown between the McGuffey Highlanders and the Chartiers Houston Bucks. The Bucks able to get that victory 13-7 on home turf. I'm still shocked about that.
Yeah, we talked about that one off the air last week, Peyton, and after I came back down to campus. And we said Ed McGuffey was probably going to steamroller them, and they proved us wrong. And big win for the Bucks. And you might see the Bucks later on in our pick'em games, but we'll save that for later. Take a look at the next set of scores here. Here as Wash High played host to Peyton's Charleroi Cougars and blanking them 55-0. Fraser and Beth Center's game got postponed to be made up at a later date as far as we know. Let's take a look at the next set of scores.
Up next, we have Brentwood traveling to Southside Beaver. Southside Beaver able to pick up the victory 42-6 quite easily. We had a little 1A showdown. Bentworth and Avella, I believe this is Avella's first win, able to pick it up over the Bearcats 30-21. Kind of a close game there.
Yeah, we actually thought Bentworth was going to be the favorite in that one.
But Avella gets their first victory, and let's take a look at some more scores here.
This one was a game of the week here as Carmichael's knocks off California High School 35-20. And then another surprising one, Mapletown on running over the Rockets. It's of Jefferson Morgan 43-12. Oh, but quite a couple interesting matchups there. But let's take a look at some more scores here.
Up next, we have some 1A matchups. West Green traveling to Monessen, very close here to face the Greyhounds. West Green able to pick up the victory 28-14. And then we had another, I believe this was the game of the week here as well. Hollidaysburg traveling to West Mifflin. Hollidaysburg able to get the win 33-20. I'm glad to say I picked them and they helped me out this week.
Yeah, that one surprised me a lot, but it is what it is. Let's take a look at the next set of scores here. And my boys from the Uniontown picks up their second victory of the season as they knock off Carrick 42-13. And then Weir High was supposed to play Albert Gallatin. That game got postponed due to reasons unknown. But we'll be seeing Albert Gallatin later this week. We'll be talking about that matchup later on. Take a look at some more scores here. But it looks like that's all the scores we have. When we come back from the break, folks, we have the upcoming schedules, conference standings, and we still have our high school roundup pick'ems of the week. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back here on High School Roundup.
Back by popular demand and better than ever is late night dining in the Natalie Student Center. Join us starting Monday, October 18th at the hot spot for evening dining, Natalie Evening Eats, located on the second floor of Natalie next to Umami. Open Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. and on weekends, 7:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Natalie Evening Eats is a one-stop shop for your favorite menu items. Orders can be placed through our mobile app or at the designated Evening Eats kiosk. We can't wait to see you there.
Election Day, November 2nd, 2021 is just around the corner. Check your status or find your polling place Visit calu.edu/vote to find links to all this information. Check out this non-partisan website, vote411.org, put together by the League of Women Voters to preview your ballot so you can know what's on it ahead of time. The last day to register to vote in the state of PA is October 18th, 2021, and the last day to request a mail-in or absentee ballot is October 26th, 2021.
Welcome back, everyone, to High School Roundup here on CUTV and CUTV Sports 1. Well, and joining with me, he's still Peyton Trollinger. We saw the scores, we saw the highlights. Let's take a look at what we got coming up this week, Peyton. I know there's a lot of action going on this week.
Yes, there is. Let's get right into it. So for the Tri-County South 1A, we have Avella, the Avella Eagles traveling to Carmichael's to play the Mighty Mikes. Then we have the Trojans of California traveling to Monessen to play the Greyhounds. Then the Rockets from Jefferson Morgan going to West Green. And then Mapletown traveling to Bentworth. A couple good matchups there. Let's continue on.
Now looking at the 1A Eastern Conference here, Clareton traveling up to play a Springdale. Greensburg Central Catholic traveling over to Jeanette, Amani Christian, and at Leechburg for some 1A Eastern Conference play. Hey, take a look at the next set of schedules.
All right, for our Century Conference in the 2A, we have the Bulldogs from Bethlehem Center, traveling to McGuffey to play the Highlanders. Then we have a pick'em game right here, Chartiers Houston versus Waynesburg. And then we have the Prexies traveling to Perryopolis to play the Commodores. Let's take a look at some more upcoming games here.
So now we go into the 3A Interstate Conference. Brownsville travels to York. Elizabeth Forward versus Southmoreland in another pick'em game of the week. And South Park versus Mount Pleasant. And that should be an interesting one there as well. We'll take a look at the next set of games.
All right, for the 4A Greater Allegheny Conference, Hampton travels to Knock. Highlands traveling to Greensburg. Salem, Indiana will play Mars. And Plum will face off against Armstrong. Let's take a look at some more schedules here.
Looking at the Big 4A Conference now. Laurel Highlands travels to Trinity High School out in Washington County. A Ringgold versus West Mifflin. TJA versus McKeesport, and that's another pick'em game of the week, and that one could have some conference title implications, so we'll see what happens in that one. Take a look at the next set of games.
That game is going to be absolutely huge for that division. And up next, in the 5A Big East Conference, Connellsville travels to Gateway, and then we have another very nice game here. It's actually a pick'em game. Franklin Regional versus Penn Trafford. I am expecting some fireworks there, I'll tell you that.
That should be an interesting one for sure.
And then we have Latrobe and Woodland Hills to close out the Big East Conference. Let's take a look at some more scheduled games here.
Going into the non-conference matchups now, here's our CUTV game of the week and a pick'em game as well. As Albert Gallaudet and the Colonials travel down to play the Cougars of Charleroi in a non-conference matchup. Deer Lakes goes over to play South Allegheny, and Franklin travels to Butler.
All right.
And after this, as we come back, we're going to have our conference standings and, of course, our pick'ems and the standings for pick'ems. And I may have a Dang It Dorgy of the Week.
Ooh.
So stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back after this.
If you're looking for fear, we've got it. 7 terrifying themes and more screams than ever. Haunted Hills Estate Scream Park, the ultimate haunted attraction. Click the link for more information.
Welcome back, everyone, to High School Roundup of our final segment here. Here, join with me is Peyton Trollinger. Peyton, we've seen all the scores. We've seen the upcoming games. Only one thing left to do now. Let's check out the standings.
Let's get on with it.
So starting here in the 1A Tri-County South, West Green sits alone at the top of the conference, 5-0 in conference play, 6-2 overall. Right behind them is Carmichael's 4-1 overall, 6-2 overall. California and Mapletown 3-2 in the conference, 5-2 California's record. Mapletown at 5-3. Monessen and Bentworth, Avella now moving up in the standings since they got picked up the win, and Jefferson Morgan to round out the conference. Take a look at the next set of standings.
I'll tell you what, just one more thing. Carmichael's has definitely been a team to watch. They've been very exciting to watch and just observe over the season. They've done so good over there. As we go to our 2A Century Conference standings, the Prexies sit on top 4-0 in the conference and 7-0 overall. Chartiers Houston making a big jump, are now second, 4-1 in the conference, 6-1 overall. The Highlanders get bumped down to third, 3-1 in the conference, and a 500 record at 4-4 overall. Beth Center sitting at the 4th spot, 1-2 in the conference, 1-5 overall. Waynesburg sitting at 1-3 in the conference, 2-5 overall. My Charleroy Cougars, unfortunately, 1-4 in the conference and 1-6 overall. And the Commodores still looking for their first conference and just general win, 0-3 in the conference and 0-7 overall. Not a very good season for them. But let's take a look at some more standings.
Moving over to 3A Interstate Conference play here. Here as we see EF sits alone at 4-0 in conference play, 6-2 overall. Right behind them are the Southmoreland Scotties at 3-1, 6-2 overall as well. Also, EF might want to keep an eye out on them. Mount Pleasant drops to 2-1, 4-3 overall. South Allegheny, South Park follow right behind them, and Brownsville and York both looking for that first victory of the season. And I'm still holding this one. Gary, he says I'm crazy, but I think Brownsville may end up picking up the win if they don't have to forfeit this week.
That would definitely be a sight to see. Let's take a look at some more standings. In the 4A Big 8 Conference, here we go. This is the conference to really watch out for. The Leopards on top, undefeated, 4-0 in the conference and 6-0 overall. Then the Tigers right behind them, 3-0 in the conference, 6-1 overall. TJ, 2-1 in the conference, 4-1 overall. Laurel Highlands has definitely fell down a couple spots, 2-2 in the conference, 5-2 overall. Trinity is 1-2 in the conference, 2-5 overall. Ringgold and West Mifflin sit at the bottom of the conference, 0-3 and 0-4 respectively in the conference, and 3-4 and 1-6 also respectively overall.
This conference has definitely been the most entertaining to watch this season. And we've talked about McKeesport and TJ, Laurel Highlands, and Belle Vernon, how they've played out so far this year. And it's a shame that one of those teams might miss the playoffs because of one loss or so. But we'll see what happens, and I'm excited to see how this conference shakes out in the next 2 weeks.
I also am too.
Take a look at the next set of standings as we move to the 5A Big East Conference. Penn Trafford sits at 3-0 atop of the conference, 6-2 overall. Right behind them is Gateway and Franklin Regional, all 2-1 overall in the conference. Gateway sits at 5-3, and Franklin Regional at 3-5. Latrobe and Woodland Hills tied for fourth place there. They're at 1-2 overall in the conference, but Latrobe has the edge at 3-5. Woodland Hills at 2-6. Connellsville sits at the bottom of the conference, still looking for their first win of the season at 0-8. Now here's our pick'em standings. We've got a little bit of a shakeup now. We have a three-way tie as me and Bobby D he can move to 17-12, but also so does our friend Dougie. Peyton, you back on the plus side after dipping down below 500 for that 1 week. You went 500 last week.
I told you guys I was coming back, and I'm not stopping.
You're one game behind us. Gary and Dylan tied there in fifth place at 15 and 14, and then our friend Colin sits at the bottom, unfortunately, at 11 and 18.
All right, let's take a look at our Pick'em games of the week for October 22nd. As stated, our CUTV game of the week, Albert Gallatin traveling to the Pot in Charleroi to play the Cougars. You might hear a familiar voice on that broadcast. Another very good matchups here. Franklin Regional, Penn Trafford, that's going to be a big game. Thomas Jefferson versus McKeesport, also a huge game for them. Elizabeth Ford and Southmoreland, like I said, all of those games are big playoff implications. And then Sharkteers Houston traveling to Waynesburg Central. And, you know, Johnny, these are some very good games to watch here. And I don't think a lot of them could be bad at all.
No, I have to agree with you, Peyton. It's definitely getting down to the nitty-gritty. We're seeing and tighten it, good matchups going down onto the wire. Even and with those teams that are already eliminated from the playoffs, they still have some good matchups yet. And that's the one thing about being in the WPIAL is you have so many different teams that are still in contention yet, and it's just going to be fun to watch these last couple of weeks. And we are 3 weeks away from the playoffs.
Oh, I cannot wait.
One other thing, Peyton, we forgot to mention during highlight eights. If you guys got a highlight eight that you want to see or something funny, goofy, you send it to us here at CUTV Sports 1 to those email addresses here below. Oh, you can send it to me at sak8734@calu.edu or to Peyton at tro5802@calu.edu. And who knows, your highlight or low light, depending on what it is, could end up here on High School Roundup. But speaking of low lights, that leads me to our Dang It Dorky of the week.
Here we go.
I don't have anything for this one, but I have to give it to our friend Colin. He went 1-4 last week in pick'ems and was up there in the running with me, Bobby, you, and Doug for the longest time, and has fallen out and down below 500.
Come on, Colin.
And he's going to have to find a way to get back onto that plus side before the end of the season. But we still have 2 more weeks of that and the playoff show to talk about.
It's going to be fun. Fun time here on High School Roundup here.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing stuff of some good ones later this season. But we'll talk about more football all later on this week because we got some hockey to look at tonight, hey, Peyton, as it is Mike Lang night at the PPG Paints Arena.
Oh, I'm sure you're really excited about that. I think, aren't you going with a special friend there?
Yep, I'm going down with Dougie. But with it being Mike Lang night, it was if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. Oh, he's literally the inspiration of me getting into this, and I think a generational old group overall.
Yeah, that applies to me as well, and it'll be a really fun night. Yeah, it's gonna be a really fun night. I'm really excited.
Yeah, but all right, guys, that's gonna do it for this week here on High School Roundup. Thanks to Peyton for joining me. To Tom and Gary in the booth, keeping everything going. And Bobby D and Colin and Dylan for their picks, as well as Doug. Till next week, guys. We'll see you then.